What time is it? It's time for another Every Other Wednesday.
All right, people, come in. Put on your April Fool's costumes if you like. We won't see them, but are we about ready to begin?
Yeah,
we
do we have a
are.
question?
Okay, well,
Yes, we do have a question. It is,
Yes,
of course,
we
April
do.
Fool's
Yes,
Day.
ask the question, please.
We are going to talk about April Fools, but not just April Fool's Day. We are going to use that as a segue to eventually talk about humor in the workplace, and specifically the topic of where is that humor line? What constitutes safe humor versus not safe humor? What humor
That's
gets you sent to the HR department versus not sent to the HR department?
What gets you sent to the
humor
HR department? What gets you sent to jail?
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
So the question we were going to ask is,
Yes, is
what?
on a scale of 1 to 10, using decimal points because it's more fun,
Yeah.
how big a fan are you of practical jokes? Because some people hate them and some people love them. So 1 meaning you hate them, please do not ever practical joke me. 10 being I think they're awesome, I love them, I love a good practical joke. So on a scale of
Okay, Dan is a 0.
I'm 3 pi.
Yeah, 3 pi.
Of course you are.
Who else have we got?
Solid
Brian
4.
is a solid
4.2.
4.2. Come on, everyone. Who else? James is a 2. Yeah,
There's
we're not
strong
getting
love. There's
not
a
getting
strong
any
love
real
of it.
fans. Carol is a 1, although I love humor in the workplace. Okay, that's fair. We'll take that. Who else? And of those of you who are just coming in, we're asking the question, how do you feel about practical jokes on a scale of 1 to 10? Or you can choose 0 if you like, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about practical jokes? 1 is I hate them, and a 10 is I love them. Let's
Where
get
are
a
you
couple
guys?
more votes. Oh, Corrine is right in the middle there with a 5. That's great. Okay. Well, let's just stop all of this foolishness if we may, and go ahead and get started. How would that be?
Woot woot.
Okay, let's go. Well, hello everyone, and it's good to see you. Welcome to Every Other Wednesday. My name is Michael Kerr, and I am a speaker and author coming to you from Canmore, Alberta, in the spectacular, marvelous Canadian Rockies. I speak on workplace culture, humor in the workplace. My most recent book is Small Moments, Big Questions, and I am the grandson of the actress Deborah Kerr. She pronounced it Carr, Kerr is how she spelled it, and one of those things is not true. But anyway, actually, 2 of those things is not true. But welcome. So, who's next?
I will go. My name is Richard Haddon, and I am coming to you from some remote place in the middle of nowhere. Oh, wait, no, I'm at my home office today in the national headquarters in Jacksonville, Florida, coming from my basement. I am the author of Contented Cows and Other Such Books, following these kinds of titles, and I work with organizations as a speaker and author to help them produce and get more engaged workforces. Sanjay, can I throw it to you?
Yes, thank you, Richard. My name is Sanjay Nath. It is, of course, April 1st, 2026. Michael asked me to do this for him because he doesn't have one of those apparently. So I live in the beautiful Greater Toronto area, the center of the universe. I speak on leadership. I have like a 40-year career as a speaker. I speak on something known as the 80-20 principle. I believe that's the name of it. I haven't read my book in a while. I think it's close. It's something like that. 80-10-10 principle, the 10-80-10 principle, the 70-30 principle. It's an excellent book. You should read it. I'm quite proud of this principle. I'm the author of 14 I'm the father of 14 children. So that keeps me busy. And Michael has asked me to talk about the theme days today because it's not just April Fool's Day. It's also Fun at Work Day, International Energy Drink Day, Reading is Funny Day, Boomer Bonus Day, International Tatting Day, Library Snapshot Day, Poetry and the Creative Mind Day, and Saint Stupid Day, named presumably in honor of Michael. Just being a little Sanjay-ish here.
I see what you did there. It's very
So,
clever.
yeah.
I'll give you 1 point.
1 point. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, folks.
In case you're
For,
wondering,
for those of you who've never been, there's 3 of the 14.
There's 3 of the 14.
Yeah. For those of you who've never been with us before and will probably now never come back, the names that you see in the little Zoom boxes, those are our real names. And so here we are. And yeah, obviously today's theme is April Fools. We went back and looked at the archives, and we have never had an Every Other Wednesday actually on April 1st since the first year we began doing this in 2020. So here we are. It is April Fool's Day, and we are, as Michael, also known as Sanjay, said, we're going to talk about a little bit about April Fools, but also a little bit about humor in the workplace and jokes in the workplace, and when it might have gone too far and when it is not too far. And we want to get your input on all of this, because you guys have you know more about it than we do, probably. But anyway, so what do you think, Michael?
Yes, especially I would encourage our fabulous viewers with us here, our guests, our important guests, to especially share incidents that you have that were kind of cringy, where you thought, oh yeah, that maybe not so much. Because it's April Fool's Day, and I apologize for being repetitive for some of you who subscribe to my newsletter, because I shared these in my newsletter this morning, but just wanted to share some of the fun ones that have worked over the years with different organizations. And there literally are, when I've researched this over the years, I've written articles on April Fool's Day. It goes back to the mid-16th century. It's a long tradition. There are thousands of examples of companies doing April Fool's Day jokes, and sometimes they've gone horribly bad, leading to lawsuits and firings and PR crises because somebody thought something was funny and their customers did not find it particularly fun. But here are some of the ones that are more in just a spirit of, I think fun. Going back to 1906, the Chicago Tribune published a 2-page article detailing Chicago's invasion by prehistoric monsters. In 2008, the BBC did a mini documentary with very elaborate video about this discovery of a colony of penguins that could fly, which was very adorable. Coca-Cola one year introduced 3 new flavors specifically for millennials: avocado, charcoal, and the delightful tasting sourdough Coca-Cola. The Deliveroo delivery company, they released a commercial in Australia offering an extreme delivery option where delivery people would skydive to your remote location in Australia. Burger King released an ad for Whopper flavored toothpaste. Doesn't that just sound appealing? This is one of my favorites, I think, actually, just because it's, I don't know, Crunch chocolate bars. I think that's Nestle. Crunch chocolate bars released a new quiet version of their Crunch bars, making 75% less noise. I love that because of how they made the rice or something. And then WestJet Airlines, based here in Canada, in Calgary, Alberta, they have done great practical jokes over the years. So shall we share one of those right now, gents?
Yeah, and by the way, just as you're chewing that up, it reminds me of the classic one of the 1957 spaghetti farm.
Yes, I saw that one.
Right, and that's done in good spirit, and as long as people are relaxed, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, it can definitely be taken overboard.
Maybe not everybody's familiar with that one. That's where they were talking about a Swiss spaghetti harvest, and they showed people pulling spaghetti out of the trees, and that had been a bumper crop this year.
And it was 1957. They have a similar one with marshmallow crops. There's all kinds of crazy ones, and again, it's fun as long as people appreciate it, but it becomes really not fun.
It can go wrong, yeah.
Yeah, it can go wrong.
Really you're kind of laughing with people, right? And you're not embarrassing people. Here's the West. Here's one of my favorite.
Show us the WestJet. Now, don't forget to click the 2 boxes. I'm Michael's technical advisor.
I'm Richard Bartram, Vice President Communications for WestJet, here with some exciting news. Effective today, we're introducing child-free cabins on board select flights. We've heard from many of our guests that they're tired of kids screaming and running up and down the aisle and are looking, quite simply, for some peace and quiet. So, you may be asking, how do I get my children to their destination? Well, that's a great question, and we've got a great answer. We call it Cargo Kids. Let's take a look at the process. When you arrive at the airport, Simply ask for Cargo Kids when you check in. Our friendly WestJet customer service agents are more than happy to help. They'll assist you in getting your child ready for their trip on the travel toboggan. Your child will be whisked away on a magic carpet ride, and your work is done. Meanwhile, our WestJetters are hard at work. Your child's toboggan will arrive safely with the luggage and other kids who will be boarding that flight. From there, one of our friendly WestJetters will take the children to their waiting flight. On board each flight, we have a Cargo Kids counselor who's there to make sure that your kids are well taken care of and supervised. With plenty of toys and a state-of-the-art feed trough, your children will be able to run, play, scream, and eat all they want while you enjoy your flight in peace and quiet. So book Cargo Kids today by going to westjet.com/cargokids. That's cargo and kids with a K. And let us give you the peace and quiet you need. From all of us at WestJet, you're welcome.
Happy April Fools from WestJet.
Look for your savings below.
My favorite line in that is a state-of-the-art food drop.
Yeah, I was going to say mine too.
So how did that, what was the reaction to that? Not living in your fair country, I wouldn't know.
Hugely positive. So many people shared that. It went viral. Everybody talked about it. I think it was the best one they've done. They've done lots, but that was I think the favorite.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I saw a few that have been done over the years too. And it's funny, the thing with the Swiss spaghetti harvest, that came from the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, and they seem to have done a lot of things over that. I'm proud to say that is my daughter's employer. I asked her today via FaceTime if they were doing any, if the BBC was doing any April Fool's things today, and she said, actually, no, they have started to discourage that kind of thing. But in 1980, they did a thing where they said that Big Ben, the clock, tower in London, was going to become digital, and they were going to call it Digital Dave. And in 1992, National Public Radio, in their show Talk of the Nation, announced that Richard Nixon would be running again for president in 1992. And one of my favorite ones was in 1996. Taco Bell said that they bought the Liberty Bell, and they were calling it the Taco Liberty Bell. So those are a few of the more famous ones from the U.S.
But that Taco Bell one, that's an example of one that went a little off the rails.
Yes, it did. It wasn't all that. A little bit of
pushback.
Yeah, because
people were pretty upset.
Yeah, people were really kind of, people have some people have a real affinity to that bell. It's interesting. You will all of our regulars will have noticed that we are Jeffless today, and so we just wanted to bring that up. Jeff, of course, does not live in Philadelphia, where the Taco Liberty Bell is. He's in Pittsburgh on the other side of the state, which really makes the whole Philadelphia thing completely irrelevant. But I wanted to bring up Jeff's name anyway. Another one that has just come out today, and I don't know if some of our American, some of our U.S.-based folks have seen this, but I saw it and I was particularly sensitive to it, and that is about an announcement from the TSA, the Transportation Security Administration. And, they've been under a little bit of pressure the last few months, really, as many of their people have had to work without pay. And so I'm trying to bring this up so I can share it with you right now. And of course, because we're on live TV, my system is not working very well. So, but what they said, I'll just tell you what they said. The article said that TSA, starting this summer, it was announced that TSA was going to require clear see-through all carry-on bags had to be clear see-through bags to be taken through on security. And it looked real. And there was even there was parts of where you could buy a clear bag, and they showed these clear bags with people's dirty underwear in them and all of that. Anyway, apparently it's not going to happen yet. We'll have to see, but anything could happen with the Department of Homeland Security in this country. So that's just a little bit of a roundup of April Fool's stuff. Sanjay, what have you got?
I got two actually. I'm going to pull up the. I mean, Mike, you mentioned it, but it is classic. It's only a minute long, so I'm going to share this one. If I probably want to do, and that's the BBC the BBC
Told
one.
you they were good at it.
Yeah, they're good. So I'm gonna play this. Is once it starts sharing, share for me. It's not sharing it, is it? There we go.
We're so good
Now
at this, aren't we?
It is not. There it is.
This recently discovered colony of penguins is unlike any other. They don't need to huddle together every winter for protection against the bitter cold, because these little fellas can do something no other penguins can.
That's pretty good. They probably did this without AI.
Yeah, what's the date on this?
These are the penguins
2009?
in Madagascar, by the way.
Incredible ability. Well, they fly thousands of miles, rainforests of South America, where they spend the winter basking in the tropical sun.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cute.
Okay, so I found the article I was talking about. Just one real quick. Let me just show you real quick. So Sanjay, you got to unshare.
Yeah, I will. I'm done. I'm done.
All right. Yeah. So just real quick. Where did my share button go? You see that? TSA announces new policy. All travelers will need clear carry-on bags starting this summer. And it goes on down. I mean, it looks legit, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And then, yeah, continue reading. And then there's, it's going to be at these airports, and then where to buy clear carry-on bags.
Somebody put a lot of work into this.
They did. They did. I love it.
But that's what makes it realistic, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you look at the videos, like they put a lot of work into it. Otherwise, it's
So two things that come to mind right away about this. One is, in the crazy world we are now living in right now,
Yeah.
I think I've seen more than ever cautionary notes about please be careful with your April Fool's Day jokes this year, because there's a lot of stress and chaos in the world. So make sure especially this year, they truly are in the spirit of fun and not, not stressing people out anymore, because so much of what is happening already feels like a little bit of a joke. So let's be extra sensitive to that. But the other thought that comes to mind, and I was thinking about this too, Sanjay and I have a friend and speaker colleague, one of my best friends, Jennifer Spear, who posted a funny April Fool's Day joke on our speaker Facebook page. And she got some mocked up fake new logos for a new business. She's talking about branding her business, and she's calling it something like lower your expectations, or low expectations, so she can get over your look, right? And it's supposed to be funny, but this is part of the fun of April Fool's Day for me, is when people don't get that it's a joke and they forget what day it is, because she's getting these serious comments and serious private messages.
Are you sure have you thought this through?
Yes. Are you going to turn off some of your clients perhaps with this?
But that's true. That's true beyond April Fool's Day. Like when
I was thinking a lot of this can be applied to other than April Fools. Yeah,
100%. And when people don't get it, I find that I have a certain personality, and I by default will walk into a conversation with that personality. And if all of a sudden I'm hit with sarcasm, some might call it that.
No.
Oh,
it's a slightly different sarcasm. It's the gap between a sarcastic comment and the person on the receiving end understanding that was sarcasm.
And I love it. But that's true though, because I will walk into a conversation often, and then I'll say something, and people look at me, and I'll be like, okay. And I might even try it a second time, but if again I get blank stares, then guess what? I'm going down a different path, because that's the idea of my sense of humor is I'm trying to close the gap and create a relationship. And if I'm doing the opposite and I'm getting things more distant, I'm not going to push harder. I'm going to take a different path.
Right. So Sanjay, that's a great segue to talk about what we're talking about.
That's what I was trying to do. I don't know.
Right. You did it brilliantly. Appropriate humor.
Beautiful.
And the very simple reminder, starting with know your audience, right? And so something like, some brought up sarcasm. Of course, people are going to be sarcastic at work with people they've worked with for 15 years, and you have a close relationship and you trust one another, and you can probably be brutally sarcastic with Bob or Susan because you've got that relationship. But if it's a brand new employee or a customer, or perhaps your little more serious boss, sarcasm might not be the way to go always.
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, even with every other Wednesday, again, for people who have been here before, you may or may not notice that sometimes we take jabs at one another. It's a new thing we're playing with. But when a guest comes on, we don't take jabs at the guest.
No, we don't. Unless they give us permission to.
Absolutely, by default.
And actually, unless some of our audience have actually been guest hosts with us, and so we send out a sheet that has kind of instructions and all that kind of thing, a little rules. We don't have a lot of rules, but we have a few. And one of them gives them the opportunity to say they want to opt out of being made fun of
on their back.
Yeah, and we've actually had a couple who have exercised that option and say, pay attention, make fun of each other, but leave me out of it. And that's fine. We do that. And I think so, yeah, like you said, Mike, you have to kind of know who you're dealing with. And probably if you're ever in doubt, I can't ever imagine there being a problem by erring on the side of not doing something rather than erring on, if you're kind of, oh, should I do this or should I not? Probably the best decision is not. If you have no doubt, then yeah, go for it. But
even when you have no doubt, sometimes you get it wrong.
You're right. Yeah.
Which can, again, is a learning opportunity. I recall when I was in second year university, I actually lived with the same people between second and fourth year. So years 2, 3, and 4. It was me, a couple, and a fourth girl. So it was 2 guys, 2 girls. We got along famously. You hear all kinds of horror stories where people would have house meetings or even silly things like, this is your food shelf, this is my food shelf in the fridge. We didn't do it that way. We all went shopping together. Guys paid 30% of the grocery bill. Girls paid 20% because they ate less. And we got along ridiculously well. The other guy was as an engineer as well, and him and I had a lot of classes together and stuff. And we decided his girlfriend would live in the house. It was always fun to pick on her on April Fools. And so 3 weeks before April Fools, Blair, the guy, and I started having silly little toughs. And what we were doing is we were escalating it, and we were going to get it to the point where we were going to decide that we were going to do this thing. Well, I'm going to move out because it's not working, blah, blah, blah. And we were going to time it to have a house meeting and watch a movie and order pizza. And so it was a Friday night, Friday, March 31st, we were going to finish the movie, have this conversation. Right around 12 o'clock, we were going to go, what day is it? Oh, it's Friday. Oh, no, it's Saturday, April Fools. And we were going to be all silly. And that was our big 3-week thing. Like even silly things like we would walk to school together. But during our spats, one of us would leave first and wait at the end of the street for the other guy to come, and then we'd still walk to school together. Anyway, so I say to Krista, Blair's partner, just as I was going to a night class one time, I said, I don't think this is working. I think I may have to move out next year. She busts into tears. She starts crying. She's like, oh my goodness, I thought this was good. So I run to campus, find a payphone, because there were payphones, not cell phones back then. I call Blair. I'm like, oh shit, Blair, we're in over our heads. we got to pull the plug on this one. But we clearly overstepped the line.
Yeah, and there does come a point when you know that, and it really is foolish to keep it going after that.
Yeah. But it still lives in infamy to this day, and we just have to threaten April Fools moving forward. And it's like, no, and Krista still hates us. So
I'm wondering what are some kind of fun things that, whether it's April Fools or not, that you can do in the workplace. That, I mean, if we look at if the objective is to enrich the culture, to make people enjoy their time that they are at work more, what are some things that can be done that are positive that would make sense?
I will, before giving a specific example, I want to give a philosophy. To me, this is always really important if you're doing any sort of prank type thing. You always need to tear people down and then build them up, as opposed to build them up and then tear them down. So this is not a funny prank. Hey, you won a lottery. Ha ha ha, just joking. But hey, your car was crushed by a tree. Ha ha ha, just joking. It's better. So you bring them down.
It's better, but I'm still not sure it's
marginally better. Marginally.
No, but the idea is you give them the shock and then you give them the relief, and the relief brings them back up, as opposed to give them some aha, you just big winner and haha, just joking, because that's not funny, because then you've stripped them of something that they thought they had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have, it's been a long time since I worked in an office, but I have. And I remember one April Fool's that everyone, and this was all this was done in advance. Everybody knew what was going on. People changed the pictures on their desk to, to pictures of celebrities and things like that. And that was kind of fun. People went around and looked at that. Another time I know somebody who people in the company just gradually would change their outfit throughout the day and see if anybody noticed, things like that. And, just little playful things, temporary signs around the office, things like that. I think, those are good examples. And in terms of a philosophy, as you said, Sanjay, one philosophy that I try to hang on to with things like that is it can be more fun if you're the victim. Don't make somebody else the victim. Make yourself the fool, make yourself the victim. I mean, it's easy for me to do that, but make yourself the victim, and then nobody else is hurt, but they still might have some fun.
Yeah. It's about laughing at yourself first and foremost, laughing with people, not at people. And in the workplace context, I mean, there's thousands of things you could do. For goodness sakes, I've written 2 books on this. There's thousands.
Give us a few hundred. Mike. We don't have time for thousands, but give us a few hundred. And we also want to hear from our very august audience here. John is raising his hand. John, we don't know what to do with a raised hand. So if you have a comment, though, we'd love to have your comment. And one thing we didn't do, and this is because it's April Fool's Day, we didn't tell you to change the default in your chat to everyone if it doesn't say everyone. But yeah, if you have any comments and any ideas, share them. But Michael, give us a few hundred.
Yeah. Well, I was going to share just some of the goofy ones that I've come across. And one of them was on April Fool's Day, and it's the safe kind of goofy things that people do, and some of them at my suggestion. But one of them I had a client years ago where they did, this is called silent disco, where you are talking, you engage somebody at work in conversation, somebody sneaks up behind the person and disco dances behind them while another person videotapes the disco dancing of all these people, which sounds very silly, which is the whole point. And then they put this montage video together. So there's things like that work just brilliantly, right? Traditions and rituals that are just kind of goofy and fun, and classic things. I mean, I've talked about this on here. I'm sure, like a client of mine that does third person Thursdays. So every Thursday, everybody refers to themselves by their own name, right? Doesn't cost any money, no extra time. Nobody's going to get hurt over that. It's just fun goofiness. Hard not to smile when you're calling yourself by your first name all day. So those kind of things are brilliant.
The other thing too about both those that you just suggested is they're easy to opt out of, and there's no pressure to play.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because so some people they feel awkward. It's like even something like dressing up for Halloween. Some people feel awkward dressing up. Some people love it, and they feel in their element. And you create an environment that if you want to dress up, great. And if you just want to wear a baseball hat, that's great as well. And it's not a matter of how dare you not, or there's no scolding. It's a level of inclusion.
And Sanjay, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've written about this, and there's actually a paper in the International Journal of Humor Research on this about how much employees hate forced fun, where we're going to make you have fun. The language I always use is we need to invite everybody to have fun, but not force anybody to have fun. And especially we need to keep in mind, because I hear it all the time, we need to keep the introverts in mind, who complain very often that their social events, their team building events, their fun events aren't built with them in mind. So we've got to include them in the planning. We've got to think about a diverse range of options so that your hardcore introverts can have some fun in a way that is truly fun for them and not making them feel like they're put on the spot and having to do something uncomfortable with. So that's part of the thinking too. We've got to make sure we're inclusive and inviting everyone.
And I think a big part of that is it's easy to opt out.
Yeah.
Right. So
Make it easy to opt out, not awkward to opt out.
No, exactly. Like, so the classic example I think of is if you're playing a game of Simon Says, right? If you want it out, you just sit down. You're done. It's easy to opt out.
That's right. Yeah, just make yourself lose.
You roll your eyes and you sit down.
Absolutely. But you still get to enjoy because you can watch other people and there's no pressure around it. That's what I'm saying is it's easy to opt out. I mean, which goes back to the point that Michael, you made, this idea or was it Richard? I don't know. It was one of you two yahoos that, make yourself the butt of the joke. And when I'm telling stories and I'm speaking on the stage, okay, it was definitely Richard. I thought it was clever. It was too clever for Mike. When I'm telling stories from the stage, if I can be the heel, I'll be the heel. If I can't be the heel because that's not always appropriate, then I'll give anonymity and I won't give the person's name.
Right.
But if someone's the hero, then I try to be the hero like it's possible, and I'll actually try to use their real name. Yeah. So I think that's important when you can celebrate someone and you can make them the hero of the story or of the game. Yeah, give them the kudos. But if it's such that you don't have that opportunity, then try to give them the anonymity.
Yeah. This whole topic reminds me too of the line in safe humor versus not. Reminds me of a comedy principle, stand-up comedy principle, of how it's typically better to punch up than punch down. So in a workplace setting, that means senior leaders should be prepared, in my opinion, to have a thicker skin and be the punchline in some situations, especially if you're at a team building event, a social event. Be the first one to get up and do something goofy.
Are you getting political on us, Michael?
No. Take jokes in the spirit of fun, as opposed to if you are a senior leader poking fun at your frontline employees, that can backfire.
Almost all the time. Carol's got a great little story here. It says it wasn't for April Fool's Day, but a coworker secretly started leaving a little rubber ducky on my desk when I would step away. That'll teach you to step away, Carol. But other people knew who was doing it, but she didn't, and ended up with lots of ducks on her desk. So did you get them in a row? So
I was going to go there. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
So you can tell people, I'm getting my ducks in a row. No, that's great. I love that. Who else? Give us some other ideas. What else have you got, Mike?
So many things. I mean, having some fun rituals to launch your meeting with or end your meeting. It can be something as silly as getting everybody up, standing up and spelling your first name just with the movement of your hips, which always generates a laugh. I do this in some of my talks sometimes. And looking for those fun, creative traditions and rituals that make us want to show up at work. One of the ones I always share, and maybe I've shared this before here, but went back in the day when I worked in a real job, I had a co-manager, senior manager friend of mine who started this tradition with another co-manager where they got competitive about who was to say good morning to the other guy. So they started to keep score. So they started to hide in the parking lot, hide under each other's desks, hide in different places in the building so they could leap out and say, good morning, gotcha, Larry. This went on for 7 years. Like, this is how stupid this stuff can get, right? But that's the kind of stuff that makes us want to show up. They finally ended it. My friend Larry ended it when he got the other manager's wife to wake up in bed before him. So the moment he opened his eyes, she leaned in and said, Larry says good morning. Then they decided, okay, game, set, match.
Yeah.
Right. And and the thing about that, even though it was just two people doing it, it affected the entire culture. It affected the entire environment because everybody knew about it. It just made that lighter environment, added some levity to the workplace overall because they were appreciating the secondhand fun of this.
And you're going to get momentum around that because it's going to be like, hey, here comes Larry. Hey, right? You get that buzz, even though you're not necessarily directly involved. You're peripherally involved, and it just changes the energy. It changes the work culture.
Right. Totally. One of the things too, I always, on this topic specifically of, what is safe, appropriate humor, what always scares me about this is is that we go too far to the one extreme, where businesses are so concerned about political correctness and doing things right. And oh my
Yeah.
God, if we allow humor, there's going to be whoopee cushions at every board meeting and all this chaos going on. And I would hate to see that, because we know the benefits of humor are so very powerful that we don't want to stop that. So I love this research article that was in the International Journal of Humor Studies, where they studied the proverbial office joker in a workplace. And they found that the role of that person was incredibly invaluable. They would retell stories, they would keep traditions alive, they would challenge senior management, but in a funny way, like the court jester. They made things less boring when work was boring. They raised morale. They did all these great things. But in the study, and I love how this was framed, the CEOs, the presidents of some of these companies always said, oh, they bring so much value to the workplace. And yes, there is the occasional time when they step over the line. However, we are very cognizant. We do not want to punish everyone or even punish that employee for that one misstep, given the 98% of the time that they are making a better workplace for all of us.
So are they saying that it's a safe risk to take? I mean, there is a calculated risk there, but we're willing to accept that because we know that in general it turns out for the better. Yeah.
Right. And they said in the study too that usually, on the odd time when that happened, usually the person knew, like they kind of knew, and you just have a private conversation with the person and say, maybe you need to apologize to Bob. Says, yeah, I know that one was a little over the line.
Yeah.
And it's a ratio thing too, right? Like if 50% of the time they're crossing the line, that's probably a lot, but 98% of the time they're good and clean. I mean, that's where we find out where the line is. And here's the other thing too, is the line changes from group to group and over the years. What was appropriate as a joke in the 80s is not appropriate now.
Right, yeah.
And so you have to be, flexible with that and go with the flow. If you look at it strictly from a risk analysis, it probably never makes sense to tell a joke.
Yeah. Or to play the joke or whatever. Yeah.
Because you go, well,
unless you're a stand-up comedian. Yeah.
But I'm talking in the workplace, because there's always, like, generally speaking, just about every joke is going to offend someone at some point. And so if you try to be so overly politically correct, you're not getting the benefits that come with that. So you have to take a bit of a risk, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
And again, as part of that risk, as you're pointing out, and the CEOs all pointed out, was, yep, we're going to cross the line. But it's not that you don't try to avoid crossing the line. The question is, how do you deal with it when the line is crossed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've mentioned many times before, my kids are gymnasts, and they can tumble and do crazy flips, which is probably the most useless skill in the entire world. You do not need to do that to get through life. But what are the benefits that come from it is, working out and communication and making friends and yeah. But the biggest thing for me is what happens when they face adversity. Because at one point the pass isn't going to go well. They're going to have a bad day. They're going to have a stomach bug, whatever it is. If it's not, can you avoid it? Because you can't. Question is, when it happens, how do you deal with it? If someone crosses the line, do we cancel them and make sure their grandkids never work? Or do we have a conversation that says, how do we learn from this? How do we move forward as an organization? I understand what you were trying to do. What's a better way of doing it in the future?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I beg to differ with you in terms of those skills being useless. I just have one name for you, Batman.
What about,
there you go.
If any of your children aspire to be Batman,
I tumble for you.
Sorry, Richard, go ahead.
When it comes to these things, some people would say, well, just use your common sense. Use your common sense. And I think that is good advice. I wonder, if you asked yourself the question, well, would it bother me? I'm not sure that's necessarily a good question, because there might be things that wouldn't bother me, but they might bother others. So maybe a better question is, would it bother a reasonable person? But
right, which is
not necessarily me.
Define
but really, I mean,
person,
would this bother? Oh, it wouldn't bother me. Might not be a good argument. But I think using common sense. Another thing I think is, does it take a lot of time? Does it take away a lot of time from work or from what people, because then it's going to be vulnerable to people complaining about it. Also, in terms of things that not just jokes that you tell, but maybe jokes that you play, make sure it doesn't damage anything, that everything is going to be okay when it's done. And I think also, and this sounds like eventually, Carol, this person did, and that is, if you're playing the joke, own up to it. Eventually, maybe let it go for a little while, but own up to it.
Yeah. And I think Richard,
I'm interluding because we're doing a kind of fun kind of session. I'm showing you the useless skills. I'm doing a Brad Papa moment here. I apologize. I'm doing this right here. Ready?
You're doing.
Check it.
What are you doing?
I'm doing this. Come on. Why is my computer slow?
I know it's all. Yeah.
It takes after its owner. Maybe is that.
This is my 15-year-old. It's a 30-second video.
That comes under the heading of not taking too long. Woo!
You can't ignore it. Break down ourselves. Can't explore it. Smile on your face, but I taste it.
All right, there we go. That's good.
The boy can jump.
Future Batman in the
very useless.
Yeah.
So Richard, back to your point.
Yeah.
One of the things I think we need to consider, and I think very often, if we are trying to be reasonable, recognizing could be a loaded term, but what was the intent of the humor?
Right.
Because
what was the purpose of it?
We know the person meant well. It came from the heart. So let's not get our ginch in a knot here, because clearly that went from the heart, versus, and we've all seen this, we know, humor is a weapon of bullies. Humor can be used to intimidate and divide people. Right. And we know the mean-spirited humor can be used as a cudgel, as a weapon. And I think most of the times we can really spot that difference.
Yeah, it can have really long-lasting effects as opposed to the momentary fun that someone might have from it.
Totally. And on that note too, because I like talking about this stuff and writing about this too, is the power of all of us to vote with our laughter, because we send a message when we laugh.
If it falls flat.
Yeah, and if it is, and we all know, we know that from studies that somebody can tell an incredibly, even grotesque, rude, sexist joke, and a woman might laugh just to get along with the guys, right?
Yeah.
Somebody might laugh at an offensive racist joke to be one of the guys in the lunchroom. But we are voting through our laughter what is acceptable in the workplace, and recognizing that we have that power. If we do not find something truly funny, don't laugh and have a conversation. And maybe, as difficult, as challenging as that can be, depending on the context, maybe it needs to be done right in that moment.
Yeah. Really nip it in the bud.
Or it's something that at least needs to happen afterwards, one-on-one with that person.
Yeah. And to Brian's comment here, leadership changes the dynamic as well. When you move up the ladder, you need to weigh the practical jokes and the sense of humor with your increased responsibilities. Yeah, to lead a diverse staff. Because you lead everyone. You have to be the leader for everyone.
But there's always a opportunity for appropriate humor.
Oh, yeah. But I think it requires discretion and wisdom. Something that sometimes some people are lacking in. So. Anyway, well, look what time it is, y'all. And I am not joking. It is 1:44.
I know.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I think it's a little thing called time.
That's how it happened.
Yeah. Well, so when do we gather on this stage again?
April 15. I can do the math.
Thank you, everyone. What is the next? April 15th.
Yes, April 15th. So is that tax day in Canada? It certainly is in this country.
April 30th.
April 30th. Is it because you guys are slower or because you make so much more money?
Yes.
It takes longer.
Yeah, a little from column A and a little from column B.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, so yes, April 15th is when we will be back. And do we have a guest? Do we know yet?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here with us. And I'm just going to sign off. now in this way, and you guys can sign off however you like, and we'll see everybody when?
Every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, y'all.